So it's not exactly rare for people on podcasts and all over the internet to state that they believe in aliens and that they're sure that they exist, but it is pretty rare for a former US president who's not showing signs of extreme old age or losing his marbles to come out and confidently say that aliens exist like Barack Obama recently did. And now that the world's had a moment to think about this, it got me thinking that if aliens do exist, which of the alien species depicted in films over the years would be the one that humanity would least like to encounter? Due to the sheer amount of alien species we've seen on the big screen over the years, I'm not going to go through every alien that we've seen in movies because I don't have years of my life to waste on this. So I've culled the list down to 6 species of aliens in films that I personally enjoyed the most. And so my alien list is diverse, and it's got humanoid species, insect-like species, your standard little green men type aliens, the technologically advanced aliens, and then the nightmare-inducing type, and more. So the contenders for this sort of battle royale of aliens I've got are the xenomorphs from the Alien franchise. We've got the Yautja, or the Predator from Predator movies. We've got the arachnids, bugs from Starship Trooper films. We've got the Na'vi from the Avatar movies. And we've got poor little old E.T. from extraterrestrial E.T. movies. And we've got your standard sort of little green men type aliens. But I'll use my example from the movie Signs with Mel Gibson. I'll be breaking my list into 4 different categories and ranking each of these aliens 1 through 6, and 1 being the gold standard and 6 being the weakest in each category. And the categories are offense, so their raw killing power. And then we have their defense and durability. And then third category is intelligence and strategy. And lucky last is adaptability and expansion. And I'll also add a little bonus category about each alien species' morality, but I won't actually rank that one. Let's get into it, and feel free to blast the comments with your own thoughts on my ranks and also which aliens you'd have in your list from movies that you enjoy. So this list isn't just about aliens in film that I like. It also contains aliens that without laser removal I now can't escape, because out of the 6 on this list, I've got 3 of them tattooed on my body. And off we go, we're starting with Offence. So coming in last for Offence is poor little E.T. He demonstrates no offensive capability besides having maybe a telescopic neck, which seems pretty useless. But although he's cute, he's not that good at warfare or any sort of offense. But he would have come in handy a few years ago before maybe the prostate exam was changed to a blood test, because he does have a very long and warm finger that would have reduced the anxiety of the test for pretty much every male that's hitting the age for that one. And the verdict on little E.T. is that they're basically just peaceful observers, so pretty much useless in the offense category. So coming in at number 5, we have the Na'vi from Avatar. And although they show that they're skilled hunters and they have coordinated attacks, they really lack any technology, and they're basically like primitive humans, really. And they can use their local flora and fauna, but without a way of reaching Earth, I think they've basically got no chance. And the verdict on them is they're lethal when they're local, but they're not interstellar, so we don't have to worry about them attacking us. And we have the little green men, or in the case of Signs, the sort of tall grey men. And while they're physically strong, fast and predatory, they're not overly more powerful than a human, really. Like, I'm 6'3", 250 pounds, and I reckon I could manage to give one a good fight, especially if I can hold my breath long enough to evade this little wrist Febreze dispenser thing that they have. And also, if I had a cup of water, I'm going to win that fight. And they don't show any evidence of range weapons, so they're limited to hand-to-hand, and their technology isn't really known, but obviously they put their effort into interstellar space travel rather than technology for war. So they are dangerous, but they're pretty limited. And when it comes to an invasion, I give the bronze medal in offense to the Yautja from Predator. They're built similar to like a large human, maybe a bit of extra use like a professional athlete or something. And their strength is in their technology rather than their sort of physical size, which doesn't completely destroy us, but their technology, they've got plasma cannons, they've got their cool wrist blades, they've got their cool nets and spears and things like that. So they're tactical, precise killers, and I think individually, they're probably the deadliest fighter one-on-one. If they lose, or they won't lose many fights, they'll draw them, because if they're losing, they've got their little nuclear weapon on their wrist that they can just blow up and ensure that yeah, they have the last laugh, and it's always a draw. And the silver medal in offense on my list goes to the Arachnids from Starship Troopers, and their strength is pretty much in their sheer numbers and their diverse army. They've got their sort of normal bugs that there's millions of them and they can just go through in waves and destroy things, or they've got their plasma artillery bugs, so they're actually capable of causing damage to spacecraft and attack other planets across the solar system, which they show in the movie. And they're more into their like kamikaze style warfare, and they've got their bug-like pointy legs and their sharp jaws that can just dispatch humans with ease. So I think they get the silver medal just through their scale and brutality. And the offensive gold medal goes to the Xenomorphs from the Alien franchise, and I think they've easily got the best array of natural weapons and strengths. And they've got their claws, they've got their sort of tail spear, they've got their little tiny jaw that can come out and blow your head away if their big one can't do it. But they've basically got every sort of deadly animal on Earth combined as their skills. Plus, they've got the addition of the acid blood, which is they use in attack and as a deterrent. And so they show on many occasions how useful their blood can be, from breaking the shackles to free a queen, to sacrificing one of their peers to escape. And they, in Alien vs. Predator, even uses their blood as a weapon when they get their tail sliced off. And they also show that they've got the killer instinct from birth, and they basically go from a little worm that's already dangerous, who's already had its first kill, to a fully grown kill machine within hours. So my verdict on the Xenomorphs is that they're basically the perfect biological weapon, even with their lack of technology. And defense and durability, coming in lucky last is poor old little E.T. again. In the movie, he shows that he's pretty physically weak, can't do much. I could probably punt him about 30 metres, and he can't even survive one night in the woods before he passed out in a creek and turned white and gave me some serious nightmares as a child. So his defense really relies on avoidance and not resistance. And number 5, we have the Signs, little green men, tall grey men, and they've shown that they've got pretty thin skin. They wouldn't do much against our hand-to-hand weapons and things like, especially baseball bats, swing away, Joaquin Phoenix. And yeah, their fatal weakness is to water, which is a pretty stupid weakness, especially attacking Earth, because the Earth's mostly covered in water, and basically all living creatures require water to survive, so it's always going to be pretty close by. So although they look big and strong and scary, they're actually like shockingly fragile. And now we have the Na'vi, and while they're showing their enhanced strength and agility, and they've got like a neural bond with the fauna on their planet, they're meant to be attacking us in this list, and we don't have their plants, so they're pretty much screwed. So while they're strong, but they're biologically vulnerable, especially on Earth, and plus they can't really get to Earth anyway, so we're sweet. And bronze medal for defense we give to the Yautja from Predator, and they've got very similar sort of weaknesses as humans physically, where they're going to get shot, they're going to get killed, they're going to get hurt. They do have the advantage of their tech, where they've got the advanced medical tech, so obviously we take a bullet, we're screwed for a long time. They can patch themselves up pretty quickly, and they do have things like their energy shields and their cloaking technology, which are cool, but it doesn't really save them too much when it comes to warfare, or especially the cloaking technology. They're still vulnerable to getting bashed. While they've got that, you just can't see them. So they've got tech-based survivability over their physical attributes. And silver medal goes to the Arachnids, and basically because they're bugs, they can take a heap of damage and still survive. They've got their thick carapaces all over their body, so they can take a bunch of gunshot rounds, but they do have a weak spot in the eyes. But then again, which creature doesn't? Shoot me in the eyes, I'm done. Shoot me anywhere and I'm done, especially the eyes. And yeah, their sheer numbers compensate for their negatives, so it seems almost like you kill one, and it's going to be replaced by 3 more. And coming in for their second gold medal, we have the Xenomorphs. Much like the Arachnids, they've got sort of an armoured an armoured exoskeleton, so it's like a cockroach but on steroids. And according to the internet, the cockroach is the only thing that can survive a nuclear war, apparently, or at least that's what people have been saying for years, even though it's probably BS. And the Xenomorphs show that they've got extreme environmental resistance. Like in the movies, one survives being frozen, other survives being jetted out into space. So they don't need air, they don't need warmth, they can just put themselves in a little cocoon and off they go. And their biggest defense, I think, is the acid blood, which discourages attacks, so it limits the way in which they can be attacked. So you wouldn't want to do some damage to one in a sensitive environment, such as indoors or on a spacecraft, as we see in the movies. So really, they're nearly indestructible without heavy weapons or some kind of new technology to contain them. Lucky last in intelligence, I've put the Na'vi from Avatar, and really they show that they're sort of on human level intelligence without the technology, but they're also like pretty spiritual and like ecologically focused. So they're almost like hippies or vegans, and we all know that if they attack you, if you eat a bit of meat, you're pretty much settled and you're going to beat. Now, number 5, after 2 gold medals, I put the Xenomorphs for intelligence. And yeah, while they might not have a high IQ, I think their EQ in warfare and aggression would be pretty bloody high. So they're cunning and they're adaptive predators, but they've got limited higher reasoning and they rely more on instincts rather than thinking. But yeah, on an EQ intelligence level, I think these guys would rate a lot higher, but they've got no technology and I don't think they're sitting down doing maths and inventing things. They're like a grey white shark. They're bred to kill. The arachnids come in at number 4, and the standard or the majority of their population shows that they're not that intelligent, but they do have the brain bugs with old Doogie Howser. Uses his little mind tricks on it. So we know that they've got something in their species that's smart, but they're more collective intelligence over the individual, and they've sort of got a strategic planetary defense and more of a hive mind, but that could also be a weakness because you take out the brain bugs, or when Zim pulls one out of the cave, you've basically got them covered then. The bronze medal goes to the little green men from Signs, and they show that they're intelligent, and they've obviously mastered interstellar travel when they made it here, so that's pretty good. But they have a fair oversight with the water weakness, and if I'm going to do the journey to attack a planet, I want to make sure that most of it's not covered in the one thing that kills me. So they do have a coordinated invasion tactic, but yeah, they're smart, but they're definitely flawed planners. And the silver medal for little old ET after two lucky lasts, they show that they've got faster than light travel, they've got medical resurrection tech, they've got advanced science, and they're hyper intelligent, but they're just non-aggressive. So yeah, all their intelligence goes into being happy little creatures that just want to phone home. But yeah, it comes to warfare, a baseball bat and you're done. And the gold medal for intelligence goes to the Yautja. They show that they've got advanced technology with their spacefaring civilization. They've got their interstellar travel, they can go anywhere. And they're also tactical hunters with their honor codes. They've got like combat intelligence and sort of they've got that apex warrior intellect. And adaptability and expansion, lucky last once again, sorry ET, is, you guessed it, ET. And more because they're exploration focused and they're more of the observe, don't conquer type of beings. But they definitely weren't here to take over, and ET just wanted to phone home. So yeah, and he did turn white in that river, so that's a lose. And we have the Na'vi, and they show that they don't really want to expand, and they're not that adaptable. They're not into expanding, and they're tied to a single ecosystem, or you drop them on other planets, and I don't think they do too well without their local flora. And next, the little green men, while they show they're capable of interstellar travel, they've got limited adaptability, and especially if you want to adapt and expand to Earth, you've got to do your research, and you've got to find out that the majority of this planet is water, and you stuff that up. And the bronze medal goes to the Yautja, and they can travel between the systems, but it seems like they're not trying to expand. They just colonize selectively, but they're expanding by choice and not need, and they're just hunters. They're not looking to take over. They're looking to collect their trophies and then head off home. And their adaptability, they show that they're adaptable, but mostly to planets similar to Earth. So yeah, as far as conquering the universe, that's not their jam, but they'd be pretty good at it if they did try. And silver medal for adaptability and expansion goes to the arachnids. And if you've only watched the initial Starship Troopers movies, you probably wouldn't know this, but they show that they can terraform other planets through their infestation, and that they can travel interstellar through their little blue light things that their bugs shoot out. They can send their own people with them, or their own bugs, and they create their own self-sustaining ecosystems. So they're like a disease. They're a galactic plague level threat. And another gold medal that makes this list pretty easy is the xenomorphs, as they adapt to their biology to hosts, and they basically thrive in any environment. And we've seen through the movies that they're capable swimmers, and they spread uncontrollably when left to spread. And really, they're the ultimate invasive species. They go to a place, they produce vast numbers, and take over and go on. They're basically the definition of an invasive species. So a quick little one, I haven't actually ranked these, but I'll just talk about the morality of each of the aliens in my view. And we've got the Yautja that are very honor-bound, and they have regulated violence. They're not violent for the sake of being violent, unlike other species. And we have the Na'vi, which are defensive of their own planet, purely because humans decided to take over, which is what we do. And they've got an ecological balance with their planet. So once again, like I said, they're kind of the hippies of the universe. And then we have our little ET. They're peaceful, they're compassionate, and if they had a list of who they don't want to meet up with, that's probably humans on top of that, because we do suck and we like to ruin everyone else's lives. And then we have the xenomorphs and arachnids are pretty similar, where they're just all about uncontrolled extinction events. They want to go somewhere, they want to take over in numbers, and then move on and do the same thing. And we have the little green men that are predatory. They don't really show what they're actually after, but they're pretty careless and didn't do their research. And before I get into my list, I'll bet you can't guess who won. I bet you can. So the overall superior alien, I'll go straight to the top because you would know what it is if you've watched the video. We have the xenomorphs, and they're just supreme biological dominance, really. And the reasons why I think that they win, they've got basically a perfect balance of offense, defense, and adaptability. They've got no moral restraints like a lot of the creatures, where they don't care. They just do what they do and kill things. And they can wipe out entire civilizations just by accident, really. And if you want to contain them, you got to have extreme measures, as shown in Alien vs Predator. You got to basically tie up their queen and do all that kind of stuff. And even the Yautja, they hunt them for honor. So it shows how strong they think these creatures are, when Yautja are like the ultimate hunter/predator in the universe. And if released without intervention, xenomorphs are basically a galaxy-ending species. And quickly running through the rest, we have number 2, silver medal, goes to the Yautja from Predator. The bronze medal goes to the arachnids from Starship Troopers. Coming in 4th, the little green men / tall grey men from Signs. 5th, we have the Na'vi. And 6th, poor old little E.T. He was in sort of a kid's movie by Spielberg. So that's my list of aliens that I think would be the worst if humans encountered. Also, on an end note, if aliens had their own lists, I think the humans would make the top of most of their lists, because we're basically our own disease who care nothing about anything else apart from ourselves, and you can see that just by what we're doing to our own planet. But a good thing is that somewhere out there's a chunk of rocks flying through space at incredible speeds, or there's a weak point in the Earth's crust just waiting for the right sort of conditions and pressure, so eventually something's going to wipe us out, as it's done to many species before. So we don't actually have that long on Earth, and I don't think we're going to have interstellar travel anytime soon. And you never know, we could be living on the moon or Mars, which has an environment we can't destroy, so that might be good. Peace.